All right, let's dive in. We are going to talk about a feeling that I think we all know. You know that sense of strain you get when you have to re-enter a high-pressure situation, like heading back to the office after a break or walking into a big family gathering. Today, we're going to unpack how you can navigate those spaces and come out the other side feeling, well, intact, without having to change who you are. So why is that? Why does stepping back into a familiar, stressful environment so often feel like you're losing all the progress you've made? Suddenly you're overwhelmed, you're slipping back into old patterns, and it is so frustrating. But what if I told you this isn't a personal failure? What if it's just a totally predictable response from your system? And that leads us right into our first big idea, what I call the pressure to repair. You see, there's this quiet assumption that if we struggle when we return to these places, it must mean we're the ones who are broken, that we need to be fixed. But honestly, that's a huge misunderstanding of how our own internal operating system actually works. That feeling of distress, that sense of overwhelm, it is not a sign that you've gone backwards or that you've regressed. We consistently misdiagnose the experience. What's really going on is that your system is just responding to the environment it's in. It's not a moral failing, it's a mechanical reality. The technical term for this is pattern recall, and it's actually pretty simple. Think of your brain like a computer. When you re-enter a familiar place, it's like opening an old, well-used file. All the environmental cues, the sights, the sounds, even the smells of the office or the family dinner table, they automatically trigger these old learned patterns. Your system isn't collapsing, it's just pulling up data. It's a retrieval, not a regression. Okay, so if it's just a system response, how are we supposed to handle it? Well, this is where we make a really important shift in perspective. Instead of beating ourselves up, we can learn to read our own internal dashboard, removing from self-critique to signal analysis. I love this analogy. Think about it. When a warning light comes on in your car, what do? You don't yell at the car, right? You don't start questioning your entire worth as a driver. No, you just read the indicator. It's giving you data. Your nervous system is doing the exact same thing. It's giving you signals, not a report card on your character. And this is the absolute game changer, learning to separate the signal from the story. The signal? That's just raw, neutral data. Your heart's beating a little faster, you feel a knot in your stomach. The story, on the other hand, is the dramatic narrative we layer on top of it. Oh no, I can't handle this, or I'm failing. That story is what cranks up distress and puts a massive load on your brain. Let's make this super clear with a few examples. The signal might just be a load spike, a sudden rush of emails and demands, but the story we tell ourselves is, I can't handle this. Or maybe the signal's a capacity shift. You're just tired, you have less energy today. The story becomes, I'm losing my edge. Or that pattern recall we talked about. The story is, I'm right back to square one. You see the difference? The signal is neutral. The story is pure drama. So this gets us to the actual mechanics of it all. Feeling overwhelmed isn't about you being weak or flawed. It's about load. It's about the very real physical and cognitive demands being placed on your system at any given moment. A really key concept here is something called allostatic load. Basically, it's the cumulative wear and tear on your system from being under sustained stress. Think of it like a battery slowly draining over time. Feeling exhausted isn't a sign that you're broken, it's a sign that your bandwidth has been seriously depleted. It's a capacity issue, plain and simple. And that depleted bandwidth? That's your cognitive bandwidth. It's this finite mental resource you have for thinking, processing information, and making decisions. When the load gets too high for too long, you just run out. That's when you get things like decision fatigue. It's not a feeling, it's a purely mechanical outcome. And this is what it looks like visually. On one side, you've got these high environmental demands. On the other, you have your system's current capacity, which, thanks to all that allostatic load, might be a bit lower. That gap in the middle, that's overload. It's not a story you're telling yourself, it's just math. So what's the move? The answer isn't to just withdraw from everything and hide. The solution is to restore hierarchy and to do it with precision. This is a super practical way to navigate those moments when you're totally saturated, whether it's from work, the news, or anything else. And the tool itself is a simple 3-step process. First, just observe. Notice all the inputs coming at you, but, and this is key, don't interpret them yet. Second, isolate what's actionable. Circle maybe 2 or 3 things, max, that actually require you to do something this week. And third, and this is the magic step, consciously defer the rest. You're not ignoring it forever. You're just strategically reducing the noise so you can restore your focus. And that third step introduces another powerhouse tool: interpretation pending. This is simply the conscious decision to not assign meaning to a signal right away. You notice it, you clock it, but you put the whole story-making process on hold until your system is settled down and you've got some capacity back. It is an incredibly effective way to protect that precious cognitive bandwidth. And what this simple act of deferring does is it creates space. It brings a sense of proportion back to the situation. It lets your system actually settle before you have to respond. That way, you can act with clarity instead of just reacting from a place of total overload. Which brings us to the whole point of this: returning intact. The goal here isn't to transform into some new, superhuman, unbreakable person. No, the real goal is continuity. It's about maintaining the core of who you are while you learn to better navigate these environments that, let's be honest, probably aren't going to change.
So what does that really mean? Well, let's break it down. On one side, the stuff that stays intact, your core identity, your competence, your history, your role, that's all you. But on the other side is what changes, or what calibrates, your skills. You get better at recognizing your own thresholds. Your pacing for recovery gets smarter. You learn how to prioritize signals. You see, you're not fixing yourself, you're just upgrading your internal navigation system.
So please remember this: returning does not require repair. You do not need to be fixed to go back to work or to see your family. Adapting does not mean you have to disappear or shrink yourself. And it's precision, that thoughtful sorting of signal from noise, that restores your sense of agency.
And we're going to end on this thought. Clarity travels farther than intensity. In a world that is always demanding an intense, immediate reaction, maybe the most powerful and sustainable thing you can do is seek clarity first. It's all about reading your dashboard, not just slamming on the accelerator. And that is how you navigate the noise and return, always intact.